Namaste, namaste, and welcome to Monday morning yoga, mat yoga. Sorry, it's been a bit of a kerfuffle because I wasn't quite set up when everybody arrived, but we are on the go now. So this week we are continuing our focus on promoting movements in the body that create a really excellent posture so we can move through life with as much space for our abdominal organs and our lungs to breathe in as feels good, but also because it makes us feel better. We feel different when we're slouchy and slumped than we do when we sit and stand nice and tall and present ourselves to the world in a confident way. So this week for class, you may need one block. I'm going to give you the option of having two if you'd like to, and also a little soft thing to put under a knee that's down, perhaps if you would like. We're going to just do a little movement standing up before we come down to the mat, and then we'll get on with our practice. So standing with your feet a comfortable distance apart, just allowing your weight to drop into the center of the foot. And you might just move your weight forwards and backwards across the foot and then side to side, just to find that center. So you move a few times to find that you're really centered. Once you're centered, engaging through the belly muscles, softening the shoulders down, and we'll begin with a little Kati Chakrasana. We're just gently twisting from side to side, allowing the head to follow the movement to begin with, the arms to wrap around the body and tap the body wherever they fall. That's a really nice thing to do if you have spent the morning rushing around and doing a few things, just to bring yourself back to the present moment, to feel sensations in the body as you move in the present. When you're ready, you can allow the hips to be more still and allow the movement to come from higher up the body. So sort of upper back twist, perhaps even looking over the shoulder so that you do a little bit more twisting through the top of the spine as well. That's completely optional. Allowing the arms to tap the body across the front of the shoulders and perhaps the middle of the rib cage or the sides of the rib cage. And just feeling your tummy muscles and legs and buttocks engaged to stabilize the low body. Really nice way to build some heat quite quickly. And then when you're ready, you can pivot on your toes, just slow the movement down, let it become more loose. And then we can add a little soft bend in the knee. So bounce and twist, bounce and twist. Still engaging gently through the belly muscles, still finding that length through the spine. So there's no sort of forward folding here. Do this completely upright. And once you've done a few bends of the knees, we can let the bend go, simply pivot on the toes, slowing it down, bring the feet to steadiness and just sway back to center. Lose your momentum a little at a time so you feel like you arrive in stillness gently. And in that stillness, standing really tall, dropping the shoulders, softening the forehead, maybe gazing gently down or closing your eyes. Take a moment just to breathe deeply and feel the effect of your practice. And often after Kati Chakrasana, we have this sensation of the body is almost still moving, there's energy moving in the body, but we are strong on our feet, lengthened between the earth and the sky, if you like, holding a little stillness in so much as we can while we still breathe deeply. When you're ready, you can bring your palms together at the center of your chest, just lifting your chest, taking your chin gently down, finding length without force, smiling to yourself, and then raising your head. And we're going to keep the hands together, interlace the fingers, and just do a little rolling through the wrists. So here we're trying to keep the forearms towards each other as we make figure of eights with the hands. And then we're going to go the opposite way as well. So just warming the supportive structures that run from the forearms to the fingers across the hand and the wrist. And then allowing your fingers to be long again, just rolling the backs of the hands and then the palms of the hands together. This beautiful movement, very graceful, the elbows moving in and out as well. And you can slow it down. I'm aware that I'm moving a bit quicker than perhaps I normally would because of the rush to get ready. But then we can slow it down, which helps us to slow our minds down, helps us to focus a little bit more, gives us more opportunity to feel sensations in the body as well. And then we're just going to separate the hands and give the wrists a little shake. And our final thing for the wrists is to draw the fingers of one hand back towards the body. So here, if you've got the fingers, the palm of the right hand upright, just drawing the right fingers back towards the body using the left hand. And we want to feel some sensation of length, but we don't want to force length, particularly into a body that is cold or coldish. We have warmed a little bit here. We can begin to extend the elbow of the same hand, in this case the right hand, long, and then just softly bend it. And at the same time, think about softening the shoulders down. So we don't want to do this if we're hiking the right shoulder up towards the ear. And what happens to your thumb is quite interesting. So the thumb is, of course, the start of, or the finish of the lung meridian. And so if we keep the thumb nice and extended, it keeps that meridian open so that energy can move along it. So it's useful to do that. And when you're on your hands and knees today, I want you to check what your thumb is doing too. When we're ready, we can just bring the palms of the hands together, softening the elbows a little bit, feeling the difference between the two hands, and then the same thing on the other side, drawing the fingertips back towards the body, just finding that sense of length without force. As you begin to move in your elbow here, you might find that a little bit of space opens up just as those structures offer a little bit more length. But if they don't, that's fine, still not forcing. Just making sure that shoulder hasn't crept up towards the ear, that's nice and relaxed, so it's not part of the movement. And making sure that your thumb is extended so that you get the full opportunity for energy to move along that lung meridian, which goes all the way down the inside of the arm. And then when you're ready, you can bring the palms back together again, just relaxing the fingers a little bit, shaking out. We'll roll through the wrists with long fingers, and we'll do a little bit of movement for our shoulders at the same time. So creating those wrist rolls, but moving the arms away from the body and out to the sides as we stand tall and present our confident self to the world. Hands come all the way up and then rolling the opposite way as we bring the arms around the body and back down to the sides. Excellent stuff. And then we'll go up again. This time we're going to wrap the fingers around the thumbs as we roll through the wrists and take the arms out to the side. Sometimes it's quite hard to coordinate the movement of two different things in two different ways. And rolling the opposite way as we come down. Everything, of course, is better with practice. Very good. And then just shaking out the arms and the hands. Hopefully everything feels good there. Let's come back to our necks. We're going to stand really tall, draw the chin towards the chest, find a gentle engagement through the center, and then here rolling the right ear towards the right shoulder, maybe gently lifting the chin towards the right as well, and then chin to chest and left ear to left shoulder, perhaps lifting the chin to the left as well. So going side to side, if you need a few more rounds to get the full range of your movement, so you gently engage through the body, then that is absolutely fine. Try to keep the shoulders relaxed here, so they don't creep up to join in. You don't have to force them down, though, just keeping them passive. The next time your head comes over to the right side, just hang out for a moment. See if there's anywhere that needs a little bit of extra few deep breaths to soften. And then we can press the left palm to the floor. Just feel like perhaps you're creating a bit more length down the left side of the neck. And if you feel like you've got more room to move in, you can gently lift your chin to the right and then lower your chin. So gentle nodding while we're in this sideways lean. And if it feels uncomfortable at all, please just release to a more gentle movement with less length involved. The next time your chin comes down, relax the left arm, chin all the way to chest. And we're going to just roll the shoulders a few times with the chin on the chest, and then roll the left ear to the left shoulder. Feeling, is there anywhere that you need to hang out for a few deep breaths? Can you feel the shoulders are passive? Do you need to help them to remain so? If you've got a bit more length, you can press the right palm to the floor and just see if that engages in a way that feels good. Perhaps it's a bit too intense, then just backing away, letting the right arm be relaxed. But if you've got more room to move, you can gently lift and lower your chin. And here, even if you don't press the palm to the floor, you can see if lifting and lowering the chin is something that feels good to you. We'll do just one more. And when you're ready, you can bring your chin back towards your chest, relaxing the right arm, giving yourself a few little wiggles through the shoulders, smiling gently, and then bringing your head upright. And we're just going to take the bottom teeth over the top teeth to lift the head up, chin up, and go to wherever feels comfortable for you. Holding as you breathe, and then all the way back down to center. Give yourself a big smile to relax the face, but if you need to, also wiggle your jaw from side to side. Lovely job. A few nice shoulder rolls. And we will do a little bit of arm movements for shoulders just now. So we're going to start with nice broad arms, and then rounding through the back of the shoulders, the upper back, bring the backs of the hands towards each other, chin to chest. And then standing tall, taking the elbows back, opening the chest, turning the palms open to the ceiling. Rounding through the upper back, backs of the hands together, chin to chest, scoop the belly in. And then standing tall, opening the arms wide, palms up, lifting your chest. Let's do 3 more of these. Rounding, and then standing tall and opening. Rounding. Standing tall, palms up. Last one, rounding. Really reach the fingertips away. And then as you stand tall, lift the chin if that feels good. Then turn the palms down and float the arms to your sides. Get a little bit of dancing shoulder action here. Very nice. And then our final bit for arms and shoulders is to do some nice circles. So we're going to start with the fingertips onto the shoulders and draw the elbows together and up in front, and then the elbows towards each other and down behind. So making the fullest circle that feels good to you in this moment. Try to allow your head and neck to be quite passive here. What we want to avoid is sort of counterposing this backward movement by dipping the head forwards. So just keeping the head upright over the spine and letting the sides of the body, the rib cage, the shoulders do all of the work. Let's go the opposite way as well, just whenever you're ready. Trying to get the elbows together in front of the body if possible. And trying to move the shoulder blades a little bit towards each other behind the body, again, if possible. Let's do one more. And then relaxing the arms down. Perhaps just giving the arms a little bit of a swing. You can always do this alternate sides. And if you let the weight of the arms be heavy and just, I don't know, it's just a sort of releasing movement, like a little shaking wiggle. Very good. And hopefully that feels good. We're ready for action across the upper body particularly. We're going to make our way now down to the mat, and we're going to take child's pose as our first pose. If child's pose is not comfortable for you to do, or if it's one of your least preferred options, then you can just be simply on hands and knees, or you can simply kneel upright if you prefer. It could be up here or here, as you choose. Child's pose is an interesting pose. It's actually often taught, it's two separate things. With the arms forward is actually Shashankasana, the hare pose, and with the arms back is Balasana, child's pose. But I'd like you to practice perhaps a few different ways today. So in this first pose, you can experiment with what feels good. Is it knees together, thighs together, forehead to the floor, but hands back down by the ankles? And that's a really nice softening across the back of the body. Or is it toes together, knees apart, reaching the hands forward and bringing the forehead down? So this variation, which as I said is really hare pose, is a little bit less intense of a round of the back. So if you have a sensitive low back that is irritated by forward bending, this can be the preferred option. Whichever option you're choosing, we're just going to hold for a few deep breaths. So we're beginning to awaken parts of the low body and the spine, but having the forehead down on something. It could be your folded arms or a block. It could be the floor. If you're able to practice comfortably with your eyes closed, this is a great pose in which to turn your gaze inward. Taking a few deeper breaths. Softening the features of your face. And then when you're ready, just gently bringing yourself into an upright position, giving anything a wiggle that needs a wiggle after holding. And we're going to come to having our hands and knees on the floor. So thinking about those thumbs and that lung meridian, trying to keep it open, we place the hands down on the mat so that they spread out nicely through the fingers to create a nice wide base. Set yourself up where you're comfortable with whatever distance apart makes sense to you. A little firmness through the belly, and we're just going to begin with a gentle tip under of the pelvis, so you round through the low back, maybe round through the upper back and bring the chin to the chest, and then move the pelvis the opposite way. So lifting the tailbone, feel the shoulder blades gliding down the back as you lift your head to look forwards. Rounding through the spine, scooping the belly in, tucking under, pressing the mat away from you. And then rounding the opposite way, creating length in the front of the body, drawing the shoulder blades down towards the hips, lengthening through the throat. Rounding under. And rounding forwards. Let's do one more like this. You can, of course, coordinate with your breath. Most experienced yogis do that automatically. But if you prefer just to focus on the sensation, that's okay too. We're going to come back to a neutral spot in center, and we're going to take the right hand off the floor and reach the right hand forward. And as the right hand comes around the body in a nice circle, we're going to bring the hips back towards the heels and then reach forward again. So we're keeping the left hand nice and stabilizing. We're doing 3 of these nice big circles. A little bit of lift through the center of the body. And having done 3, we're going to reach the arm all the way up. So we create a little bit of a twist through the body here, press the feet into the floor, and then we're going to slide the back of the right hand underneath the body between the space between the left hand and the left knee. See if you can take the right side of the head and shoulder to the floor. It might take a few goes. And then we're coming back to reaching all the way open and then threading the needle again. So perhaps you get a little bit closer to the floor this time. Remember that left arm is there for support. Unthreading, twisting, and then threading again. Lovely job. And then when you're ready, coming back to hands and knees, and we are going to do the same thing to the other side. So here you can give yourself a little wiggle from side to side, perhaps a little side cat action. And then we'll do the same thing with the left hand. We're going to reach the left hand forward and up and round. And as you bring the left hand back, the hips come back as well. So reaching the left hand forward around the body, hips coming back as the hand comes back. One more full circle. And then as you reach forward and around, this time we stop in that twist position. And sometimes this feels like quite a close twist, that's okay. And then from here, we're going to slide the left hand between the right hand and knee and try to take the left shoulder, left side of the head to the floor, and then unwind ourselves into that open twist. A little scoop of the belly in as we thread the needle again with the left hand gliding underneath the body. And then coming back to that open position. Try to switch on the effort across your upper back to open there, and then threading the needle one final time. And as you release, coming back to hands and knees. And in our hands and knees, we're going to move the hips in circles as if we were circling around the knees. So the hips come forwards and the hips go out to the sides and back, round and back again. So a little circling. You can use a soft block underneath your knees for support if you need to, and going the opposite way when you're ready. So a little bit in the opposite direction. Just trying to coordinate things in the low body. So we've got low body support. When you're ready, if you're comfortable, you can bring your hips back. Keep your hands reaching forward, turn the palms upwards, which rests the wrists a little. Bring your forehead to the floor in this variation of child's pose or hare pose, as the case may be. Take a few deep breaths, just beginning to relax. If you need to wiggle your hands around, you can wiggle your hands around. I like to do that. But beginning to release the effort of practice and feel the effect of your practice. When you're ready, you can come back up onto your hands and knees. And here we're going to take one leg out to the side. So I think I'm going to do this sideways on. Oh no, yeah, I'll do this way on. This is all good. We're going to take the right foot out to the right side, and we want to, if possible, have our right foot toes pointing the same way as our faces, our chests, and we're going to take a little block and place it to the left side of the body. So here on our hands and knees, and we're going to do those cat-cow movements again. So we want to press the left foot down, firm across the belly, breathe in, perhaps as we lengthen forward, lifting the tailbone, opening the front of the body, and then breathe out as we round under. Scooping the belly in as well. Maybe breathing in forwards, gliding the shoulder blades down, breathing out as we round. It feels slightly different with the legs in this position. One more time forwards. And under. Very good. And then here we're going to do those threading the needle movements again. So we're reaching the right arm out to the right. Perhaps this time you can feel the difference in twisting, much more open twist now that the pelvis is also opened in that direction. And then firm in the belly, taking the back of the right hand underneath the body. Maybe you can take the shoulder and head to the floor. Maybe you don't get quite that far down, that's okay. Opening all the way open again, and then coming into that thread needle pose. Little lift across the belly. And one more time. Opening all of the way, and then creating that a reach underneath the body. And when you're ready, you can come back to center. So from here, we're going to walk the hands back towards us so that we are in gate pose. And this is the point at which I'm going to just flip myself around so you guys can see a little bit better. So we want to, if possible, have the left knee right underneath the left hip. So I see lots of people doing it like this. It just makes it much harder for your body to feel supported because it's hanging out in the space between the two legs, as opposed to hanging out over the knee itself. So in here we also see if tucking your pelvis under a little bit helps you to feel more secure. If it doesn't, you don't have to do it. A little firmness across the belly. We're going to reach the arms nice and wide, and we're going to start with gentle sways from side to side. So right arm comes down to the right leg, left arm reaches up and over, and then left hand can come down to your block, and the right arm can reach up and over. So we're going from side to side. We fix the legs in place. We're really firm across the buttocks and the belly, and we're using movement through the sides of the body instead. Still these beautiful long arms, so we get lovely opportunity for energy to move along the meridians in the arms. And when you're ready, you can hang out all the way over to the right side. So here, we just want to gently ease into that side bend, lifting in the belly, maybe finding a little bit more space. And it might be that hanging out in this position, you feel like you could open your chest towards the ceiling and maybe look down towards the floor. A little gentle movement across the upper back, only if that feels good through the rest of the spine. And when you're ready, coming back to center, we're going to reach all the way to the left. But here, this time, you might like to see if you can come all the way to the floor or orient your block slightly lower so you get more opportunity here to find length between the outside edge of the right foot, which we're rolling into the floor, and the fingertips of the right hand. Try not to let your bottom stick out, which is what we tend to do. So gently opening the front of the body by pressing the hips a little bit forward, maybe opening the chest towards the ceiling. Nice lift through the belly muscles. You can hang out here as long as you like, but maybe this is enough. Turning your right palm up towards the ceiling, firm in the belly, just coming back to center. We're going to release the arms down so we soften the shoulders a little. Turn the right toes out to the right, and just find a little bit of movement here across the hips. So we're trying to create a sense of length between the legs, maybe an opening of the inner thighs, movements at places that we don't reach sometimes in our everyday life. Very good. And then we're going to come back to a more neutral spot, but still with the toes pointing out, taking the right hand or the right forearm down to the right thigh and just reaching the left arm around the body. And as we reach around, there's this sort of spiraling effect across the torso. Let's do two more of those, sorry. Reaching around the body, little firmness through the feet, through the buttocks, and through the belly. One more time. Very good. And then we're going to come back to our center, bring the knees gently together, perhaps coming off the support, and take the child's pose of your choice or lying flat on your belly, whichever of these feels good to you in this moment. Allow your effort to completely soften
Perhaps close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, just getting that opportunity for introspection, observing the effects of your practice and sensations in your body.
And then before we do our second side, we're going to do a little waving vinyasa. So reaching the hands as far forward as feels comfortable, coming up onto your hands and knees, maybe even taking the knees back a little bit further. So you've got lots of space between the hands and the knees themselves. We're going to, for those who are comfortable, you can tuck the toes under or press the tops of the feet into the mat, and then drop your hips back towards your heels. Press into feet, knees, and hands. Round through your spine. Scoop your belly in. Look towards your knees as you bring your hips forward. And then glide the shoulder blades down to open your chest. Keep the arms really strong, a little soft across the elbows. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other. And then rounding the opposite way. Press the mat away from you. Scoop the belly in, round back, hips to heels. Let's do 2 more. Pressing off the feet, rounding forward, and then opening the front of the body firm across belly and buttocks, and then rounding the opposite way. Nice smooth movements. And a final one, coming forward in your own time, little gripping of the fingertips perhaps into the mat to help the arms be strong, and then rounding back into your extended child's really puppy dog pose. Here, we're going to tuck the toes under and take a downward facing dog just to ease out any kinks. So you can step your feet a little closer towards you, soften your knees, wiggle your hips from side to side, maybe look gently under one arm and then the other. And then in the center, perhaps pressing chest towards the thighs, extend one heel and then the other. Just giving a little wiggle through, the sense of length through the back of the legs. Just allowing your head to be between your upper arms. I have a tendency to let my head hang, which is not very helpful. So between the upper arms, if possible, scooping your belly in, feeling the fingertips grip the mat as well. And then when you're ready, you can come all the way forward to lie on your belly, making a pillow out of your hands, turning your toes inwards, heels outwards, relaxing the front of the body into the mat. Give your hips a little wiggle. If you don't feel comfortable with the head down in the center, you can turn your head to one side. And when you're ready, you can find a moment of stillness for about 3 deep breaths. Sigh out anything that's come up. And then when you're ready, you can bring yourself back onto your hands and knees. I'm going to turn myself in the opposite direction so that we can practice the other side. So here we're going to have the soft block underneath the right knee. We're going to have our hands and knees positioned with the left foot out to the side. Let me just adjust so that everything remains on the screen. So we want the toes to be pointing forward. And then here we're just beginning with cat-cow movements. So spreading the fingers, checking the position of your thumb, nice and firm across the feet and the belly, and then lengthening forward. You can inhale as you glide the shoulder blades down, lifting the tailbone, opening the front of the body, and exhale as you round under. Chin to chest, scooping the belly in. Inhaling forwards, just 3 of these, so 2 more. Exhaling as you round under. Inhaling forwards. Exhaling as you round.
And when you're ready, coming back to the center, we'll do our threading the needle here as well. So reaching the left arm up and possibly round, because you've got so much more space. Now that your hip is also involved, opening across the chest, really engaging through the upper back, and then reaching the left arm underneath the body. Maybe the left shoulder and the side of the head comes to the floor. Maybe it's slightly away from the floor. It doesn't matter. It's the reach that counts. And then reaching open again. Little firmness across the legs and the buttocks, and moving through that spiral, that twist of the whole of the body. Open one more time, engaging that space across the upper back as you really open as far as you can, and then reaching underneath the body. When you're ready, coming back to the center, we're going to pat the hands back towards us. I will turn myself around and we'll be in our special position for gate pose. Gate pose. We want to make sure that that right hip is supporting the right knee, or supported by the right knee, reaching the arms nice and wide, and then taking those swaying side bends, left hand down to left leg, reaching the right arm up and over, making sure that we're tucking the tailbone under, we're not tucking backwards, and then reaching the right hand over to the right. Use your block for support for these initial movements, reaching the left arm over. We anchor ourselves in our feet. We use the muscles of the buttocks and the belly to really give us support from which to move from one side to the other. And you feel those muscles working all of the time. You can soften the right elbow as you come down. Just be careful not to get any cramping. So try not to force or hold too hard. This time, as we come up and over, we're going to spend time leaning over to the left, reaching down the leg, tucking the tailbone under, finding that length. Maybe as you gently pulse to the side, you might even feel a little bit of openness across the chest, enough to roll a little bit up and down. But it's okay if that never happens, if it doesn't suit your neck and shoulders. When you're ready, coming all the way the opposite way. And we want to find perhaps a lower hold on the block or even the floor to reach the left arm over. And again, here we're trying to make sure we don't stick the bottom out behind us, leaning forward, keeping the hip over the knee, and then see if you've got a gentle spiral to happen here in the upper body. Ah, lovely stuff. It's okay to move, it's okay to wiggle, it's okay to explore. When we're ready to come back to center, we want to firm the belly and turn the palm of the left hand up. So we lightly return to center, drawing the arms down to the sides. We're going to turn the left toes to point out to the side. So we have this different orientation across the legs, and then just find a little openness across the inner thighs as we move here. So a very old-fashioned teaching cue was not to let your knee travel beyond your toes, to keep your knee supported by your foot, and it's Utthha Tumshi. So we know that we need to exercise our full range of movement. If we never let the knee travel beyond the foot, we'd end up with really stiff Achilles and calf muscles. And in real life, we don't move that way. So it's okay to do a little bit of it. What I would encourage you to do is not hang out at the extremes and then load this area loads, unless you are used to working that way and have gradually built up. So we're just going in and out. When you're ready, you can come back to a more neutral spot. Take the left hand or forearm to the left leg, and then we're reaching the right arm around the body in these beautiful, big, expressive circles. So whatever that looks like at your end, a little firmness across the belly and the buttocks, allowing the head and chest to move as a unit. And just 3 of these. This is our last one. When you're ready, you can come back to an upright position. Just get a little buoyancy on that leg so you can bring your knees towards each other. And we're going to come back into our child's pose. So knees underneath the body, reaching the hands forward. You can have your knees apart if it's comfortable, but keep the feet together. And starting with the hands extended and the forehead towards the floor, take a couple of deep breaths. You can even turn your palms upwards if that feels good. And then from here, we're going to walk the hands to the right. So you can lift your head and chest a little bit to walk your hands to the right, maybe ending up with the left hand on top of the right hand, and let your hips settle to the left a little bit. So you get even more opportunity for space. Relaxing your head between your arms. It might not go all the way to the floor, but you can kind of lean it against one of your upper arms or squeeze it between both. And just holding the head there for a moment, feel the length and the space, the opportunity for the breath to move into different areas of the back of the body. When you're ready, you can gently bring yourself back to center. And in the center, just make sure your hips are back aligned straight before walking your hands in the opposite direction. Maybe ending up with the left hand on top of the right hand or underneath if you prefer, settling your hips to the right. Finding that sense of space with the head supported perhaps on the upper arms or maybe on the floor if you're lucky enough to be doing it with the knees apart. And then when you're ready, you can gently bring yourself back to center. And we're going to reach the hands forward and do some more waving vinyasas. So coming up onto this sort of extended hands and knees position, moving the knees back. If you want to do waving vinyasas on your feet, you absolutely can. I'm going to do the first of our three on my knees, and then I'll demonstrate on the feet. So first on the knees, taking the hips back towards the heels. And then tucking the toes under if you like, or just pressing into the tops of the feet, rounding forward, hips coming forward, gliding the shoulder blades down to open the chest. And then pressing through the arms to be able to bring the body back again. If you're doing this just with the feet on the floor, feet and hands, then you lift into a wide downward dog. Soften the knees, but don't take them to the floor. And then round through the spine as you press off the feet. And then you do more of an up dog variation here. A little soft in the elbows. And then rounding the opposite way, either going through plank and rounding or just bending the knees to come back to downward dog. One more waving vinyasa in whichever way you choose. Opening the front of the body, nice and firm across the belly and the buttocks. And then rounding back the way. If you've been in puppy dog pose, you can come up to downward facing dog now. And we want to make our downward dog just a touch narrower. We're going to do some preparation for fallen triangle. So we're going to start with our down dog, pressing chest to thighs, just easing one heel and then the other. Making sure you feel comfortable. Maybe you'd like to roll a little bit through the shoulders as well, a little undulation from side to side. Nice effort in the fingertips. And we're going to take a little rest here, lying on the front of the body. So coming all the way down onto the front of the body, let the back of the hands be a pillow, either turning the head or keeping the forehead down. Toes towards each other, heels apart. Wiggle the hips if it feels good, or simply just rest in stillness here in the center. Try to feel a softening of the effort, particularly across the upper back and the back of the neck. A few deeper breaths. Sigh out anything that comes up. And when you're ready, you can bring yourself back onto your hands and knees. We will, of course, progress to downward dog, but I just wanted to mention that the lungs are an organ of elimination, and that's why sighing really helps. It helps us to Just let go of anything that comes up, usually stuff we're not even aware that's there. And it also, by providing this very natural and soft release, can prevent us from holding on to stuff until it bubbles into something a little bit more serious, which is quite nice. So we don't break down in a fit of hysterics. Women haven't done that for years, but or tears or giggles. It just comes up as this natural sigh. It's a really nice way to let things go. It's one of the reasons why we feel lighter after yoga. Okay, so we're going to come back to our down dog and we're going to move the knee, three-legged dog variations, and moving the knee in and out. So we're going to start with three-legged dog, knee to center, knee to either elbow, and we'll do this a few times on each side. So when you're ready, bringing your hands back down to the mat, making sure you're spreading the fingers, so not forced, but just creating a lovely wide base. And coming into the downward dog of your choice. Just give yourself a few moments to wiggle in place so that you feel that you're in exactly the right place for you. We want to ease the chest towards the thighs and ease the heels towards the floor. Remember that the heels don't ever have to get to the floor, and you can keep your knees soft here throughout, because it's more about the length of your tailbone, so the length of your spine rather, than it is about the length of your legs. Pressing into the fingertips, we're gently going to lift the right leg up and feel the back of that leg, particularly the buttock, switch on for support. And then from here, coming onto the ball of your left foot, which might help you lift your right leg ever so slightly more, you draw the right knee into the chest and the nose towards the knee and the shoulders over the hands. And then back into your three-legged dog. Let's do that 2 more times. Nose to knee under the body, heel to buttock as well, scooping the belly in, opening into three-legged dog, and then rounding to bring the leg underneath the body. Now we come into three-legged dog, and we're going to take the right knee towards the right elbow or upper arm. Three-legged dog, knee to right arm. Three-legged dog, knee to right arm. And then we're doing the same thing, knee to left arm. So three-legged dog, knee to left arm. Three-legged dog, relaxing your head in between. Knee to left arm, firm belly and buttocks. Three-legged dog, knee to left arm. And then coming into your three-legged dog 1 more time, and then dropping your feet down. Separate your feet nice and wide. Do a little bit of wiggling in your down dog, and then take child's pose. Knees apart perhaps here, toes together, reaching the hands forward, turning the palms upwards, resting the forehead down. Take a few deeper breaths. So the purpose of our resting is to allow the body to come into a state of balance again, to soften some of the effort, to find a bit of stillness after that movement, and to notice where perhaps we have made more effort than our bodies were comfortably able to do, so that we don't push or force anything in our next practice. When you're ready, you can pad your hands back towards you, maybe give your wrists a little roll, because we're coming into supporting the body on one hand. So we want to make sure the wrists are nice and prepared. For anyone who would like to sit that practice out because their wrists feel not up to it at this moment, that's absolutely fine. So if you're not familiar with broken triangle, I will demonstrate. And if you are, then take an extra moment to release your wrists. So in this variation, we are going to come back to our three-legged dog, but find the right hip stacked on the left and then bending the right knee and flexing the right ankle, trying to press the chest towards the thighs still, so we're not soft in the elbows here, but lengthened. And then from there, we bring the hip square. We're going to bring the knee forward, that's the right knee forward underneath the body, and then step the right foot to the left side, take the weight onto the right hand and the left foot and lift the left hand up. So we end up in this triangle shape with the legs, T shape with the arms, and as we come out, we go back the way we came through downward dog and then come back perhaps into child's pose for a little bit of a rest after that. Okie dokie, let's do it all together. So we find our way slowly and gently. We don't have to get there all at once. And remember, we don't have to be experts the first time that we do something. So coming into our downward dog first. And just making sure that you feel comfortable in your downward dog, that you've got a really nice foundation in the fingers, and you've got your feet towards each other underneath the body, scooping the belly in and activating the buttocks. We're going to lift the right leg up and really press chest to thighs here to create that length along the back of the body. Stack the right hip on top of the left, bend the right knee, flex the right ankle. Try not to dip the left shoulder towards the floor too much. Hold for a breath in and out, and then lengthening the right leg. Drop the right hip so the hips are square. Draw the right knee into the chest. From here, we just step the right foot underneath the body. Let it find the floor. Lift the left arm up and then lift the hips away from the floor. We're trying to create space underneath the body, pressing the right hands down into the mat. And then coming out the way we came in. Left hand down, three-legged dog. Downward dog proper. And then child's pose, either knees together or knees apart, but knees together allows you to rest your hands down towards your ankles, softens all the effort across the shoulders, rests the wrists, provides the warm palms of the hands an opportunity to release some of their heat. Take a few deep breaths. When you're ready, you can come back into an upright position and we'll prepare to do the other side. So I was just turning around there so it was easier to see. You don't need to shift yourself around on your mat and hopefully you don't feel obliged to at all. It's just me. So we are going to just rest our wrists, give them a little roll. And then we'll come back to that first, the left side to do those first knee in and out exercises through the center 3 times, through the left arm, and then to the right arm 3 times as well. And it's a really good way to prepare to draw the knee into the center and find that centered strength so that when we twist into our fallen triangle, we've got that available to us. So coming back into downward facing dog. And you can take a moment in your down dog just to give yourself a wiggle, maybe a turn of the head from side to side, softening the shoulders, moving in any way that feels good, before bringing the feet together, pressing chest towards thighs, and then lifting the left leg up. We want to feel the strength in the back of the left leg. The left buttock is working strongly. We come up onto the ball of the right foot, and then we draw the left knee to the center of the chest, round through the spine, nose to knee, heel to buttock, squeeze, lift the belly, and then 3-legged dog. And then rounding forward into the center, heel to buttock, 3-legged dog. Rounding forward in the center, 3-legged dog. And now left knee to left arm, and 3-legged dog. Left knee to left arm, and pressing through the fingertips as well. Left knee to left arm, 3-legged dog, and then left knee to right arm. Across the body, that beginnings of the twist. 3-legged dog, left knee to right arm, 3-legged dog, left knee to right arm. Finishing with a 3-legged dog, and then dropping your left foot down, making any movements that feel good in your down dog, and then resting all the way flat onto your belly. Make a pillow out of the hands, turning the head or head straight down. Toes turned inwards, heels turned outwards. Just observe the effect of your practice. It is not unusual to feel your heart beating a little bit stronger, to feel your breath is a little bit quicker or a little bit deeper. But what other sensations do you feel? Do you feel effort across the arms, the upper back, the center of the body? Do you feel energy moving? Are you able to soften? Do you need to sigh and release some effort? If you need to, you can give your hips a little bit of a wiggle. I quite like to do that anyway because it massages the thighs and the pelvis, the front of the pelvis into the mat, the low abdomen as well. It's a really nice thing to do because it's not a part of the body that often gets that kind of contact. And then when you're ready, you can come back into maybe just kneeling to release the wrists a little before we do our broken triangle variation. Although we have other things to do, this is definitely the peak of the class, if that makes sense. So after this, it will be a little bit more softening, lengthening, winding down. So this is the last big effort. So we're going to come into our downward dog, just any way that feels good to you. By now, we're feeling quite secure in our down dog and confident, spreading the fingers, checking on the thumbs, being nice and lengthened too. Chest towards thighs, lifting your left leg up, engage at the back of the left leg, and then place the left hip on top of the right hip, bending the left knee, flexing the left ankle. The knees are apart, and we're really trying not to dip the right shoulders to the floor, but keep pressing the chest towards the thighs. Engaging through the belly muscles, we unwind, lengthening the left leg, bring the left leg hip down so it's square, and then left knee into chest, reach the left leg underneath the body, turning to the right, lifting the right hand up and engaging that space underneath the body to lift the body away from the floor. Holding for as long as feels comfortable, but going back the way you came, right hand down, left leg to three-legged dog, and then left leg to the floor, and just give yourself a little bit of a paddle from side to side, and then resting in child's pose. Knees together if it feels comfortable so that you can soften the shoulders, the back of the neck and the wrists with the palms turned upwards. A couple of deeper breaths. So our fallen triangles are really a variation of a side plank. They are quite a big effort. And today we're going to have the opportunity to do it one more time to each side. But if you feel that you have had enough, that is okay. There is never an obligation to do anything in class. The instructions are merely guidance. You can follow the ones that suit you and not the ones that don't. But you might like to do a different side plank variation or just some plank variations if you prefer to rest out of this variation on the other side. So we're going to do our fallen triangles again, one more time to each side. And for those who prefer not to, not. Coming into your downward facing dog. Having the feet together, we'll start with the right side, just engaging the hands into the mat, floating the right leg up, and then stacking right hip on top of left, bending through the knee. So we get that openness down the right side of the body. We need that first because we're just about to engage it. And then lengthening the leg, drawing the hip square, coming onto the ball of the left foot to bring the right knee forward, tuck it up underneath the chest, and then reach it over to the left side. Lengthening the arms and the legs, reaching the left arm up, maybe seeing if you can even open a little bit more, holding as you breathe, remembering to come out by pressing the left hand into the mat. Three-legged dog, we'll take downward facing dog, and we're not resting down, we're just doing the other side. So from our Downward dog. We're lifting the left leg up, squeezing the buttock and thigh, rolling the left hip on top of the right, bending at the knee, making sure you feel strong and secure underneath, then lengthening the left leg, dropping the hip, drawing the knee into the chest, tight to the chest, then stepping it underneath the body, turning into your full-on triangle, reaching the right arm up, maybe even open, and holding and breathing. Creating space underneath the body, coming back, right hand to the floor, left leg up, and then downward facing dog. Suddenly downward dog feels like much more of a rest. And when you're ready, taking child's pose again, whichever variation suits you, for a few deeper breaths. If you really want to challenge your practice, you can do a few of these from one side to the other, just making sure that you always come back to that centered down dog position before you move again, making sure not to do too many of a thing at a time. When you're ready, coming up into kneeling. And also, some days you'll feel ready for a challenging practice and some days not so much. So work with the energy that you've got at the time, with the body that you've got at the time. That is the key thing. Okay, sorry, I seem to have a bit of hair going astray. So we're going to now do a little bit more down dog, but she says. So we're first going to do a little squatting dog. So we open up the legs a little bit, and then we're going to take some pigeon pose from downward dog. So coming back into your downward dog, you can do this from hands and knees if you prefer to rest out of the down dog variation, then that is okay, no problem at all. But coming into down dog, if you're able, with your feet nice and wide, we're going to press chest to thighs and ease the heels to the floor. So you might need to bend your knees and then flex the feet a few times, just to find your solid base. And then trying to keep the heels towards the floor, pressing chest to thighs, scooping the belly in. We're going to come onto the balls of the feet and then drop the heels down to the left side, keeping the shoulders square-ish, knees bent, and then legs extended. So squatting dog, sort of finding a little bit of length down the right side of the body. And then we're going to come back to the center, heels lifted, dropping the heels down to the left, and then squatting dog, finding that little bit of length down the left side of the body. 3 of those. And then when you're ready, coming back to the center, maybe bringing the feet slightly closer together. I'm going to start by lifting the right leg up and then sliding the right knee forward to place the outside of the leg on the floor. So right knee towards right wrist, right ankle towards left wrist, and just finding whatever pigeon pose feels comfortable to us. So if you'd like to here, you can of course take your weight off your wrists. You can bend the back knee so that you tuck the back toes on the left foot and just pulse up and down. We haven't done this movement as many times in our practice, so we may be just feeling a little bit of stretch across the right buttock. And that is why we're doing it. We're trying to release out some of that effort that we've made. For those who prefer, you can rest a block underneath the right hip so that you can feel your upright pigeon is stable. But if you can hold it, when you've pulsed up and down a few times, you get to a point that feels really comfortable, just holding here in the center. And then we're going to fold forward, taking the forearms to the floor first. The further down and forward you go, the more challenging it is. So work at a place that feels comfortable for you. If you would like to reach the arms a little further forward, maybe you relax the forehead down to the block or the floor. You can do that. Try to find a position that feels good to you in this moment. I'm just going to stay a little higher so that I can talk better, or more easily rather. I'm not sure that talk better is good English. But there we are. And if it feels good, you can give yourself any sort of little wiggly movements, or you can hold stillness. Close your eyes. Take a few deeper breaths and really feel the effect of the posture. Soften into the energy here. When you're ready, you can allow your right hip to find the floor as you come to an upright position. So you don't have to, but it's quite nice. It's just a little variation of this pose. It allows you to feel the opportunity for space in different places. And then we're going to flirt with bringing the left foot towards the back of the body. So if you prefer to be square to do this, you can absolutely be square. You can use a block for a little bit of support underneath your right arm if you'd like to. You don't need to hold onto your left foot. You can simply bring it up and release it down again, maybe a few times. But for those who are comfortable holding with the left foot drawn in, just feeling an opportunity for length across the front of the left thigh. Give yourself a couple of deep breaths. You can even turn towards that left foot if you'd like to. You don't have to, but a little twist here is quite nice. When you're ready, you can relax your leg all the way down, and we're tucking the back toes under and finding a three-legged dog. So we want to lift the right leg up, extending through the right leg, rolling the foot at the ankle a few times. It doesn't have to be lifted high, but just easing out some of that effort. Release the right leg down, paddle through your down dog, scooping the belly in, maybe doing a little twisting through the shoulders and the head. When you are ready, you can come to center and do the same thing on the opposite side. So we're lifting the left leg up, quite engaging through the back of the body, then drawing the left knee towards the left wrist, the left ankle towards the right wrist, and just settling into our pigeon pose, maybe using the fists instead of the wrists. You can tuck the back toe under and do a little pulsing up and down of this right knee. So we're beginning to explore space. We call this active pigeon because it requires effort in the legs instead of being super relaxed in the legs. We're not hanging on our joints, we're using muscular effort. When you're ready, when you've found space, you can settle into your pigeon, and it might be that you use a block underneath the left hip to find an upright pigeon, or you might take your left hip to the floor completely, or you might be happy without the block. I need the block on this side. My knee doesn't like to twist quite so much here. So you can start with being upright and then find your way forwards, maybe taking the forearms to the floor. If it feels comfortable, if you feel like you've got room, you can stretch further forward, maybe taking the forehead down, either to the folded arms or the block or the floor, and taking a few deeper breaths. If you find pigeon a difficult one, there are tutorial videos on the channel about doing different kinds of pigeon and how you can adjust your position to make it less challenging or more comfortable or whatever it might be. Feeling that opportunity to open up in the left hip. A few deeper breaths. There's no obligation to get to the floor either. You can stay higher up if it's what suits you better. When you're ready, you can bring your hands back towards you, perhaps allowing the left hip to find the floor, which I do because it's more comfortable and because I get a different kind of stretch around the hips. And then bringing the right foot in towards the back of the body. And you can either bring it in and out, or you might like to hold the foot. You might like to prefer to be square. If you really want to, you can twist towards that foot. Just hold it wherever is comfortable. Doesn't need to be held at all, but finding a little bit of length through the front of the right thigh and the pelvis there, as well as length around the outside of the left. Just a few deeper breaths. Whenever you're ready, relaxing the right leg down, tucking the toes under, uncurling yourself into three-legged dog, really reaching through that left leg, rolling the ankle a few times in each direction. And then taking the left foot down and just giving yourself a little final paddle in downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, bringing your knees down. Now, I didn't say at the beginning of class that we would use a bolster, but I hope that everyone's got their bolster to hand. So if you don't happen to have a bolster, a folded blanket will do, a rolled blanket will do. But if you've got a bolster to hand, which most of the regulars here probably do, because we often use them for relaxation, then we are going to take that bolster and do a little broken branches yin pose. So we want the bolster to be between our legs, and we want to have something for the head to rest on, just ahead of the bolster, with a little bit of space here because we're going to bring the arms underneath the body to either side. So as you come into this pose, we want to find a way of the bolster supporting the body, the block supporting the head, but leaving lots of space to be able to cross the arms underneath here. And so you might need to play around with the exact space that you need so you still feel really supported in your body as well. So when you get into a position that feels good, I'm going to slide the right hand on top of the left hand across the body. It might be easier to do with your head lifted to begin with. Hold onto your upper back and then rest your head down, or sides of the shoulders, perhaps. Rest your head down. Take a couple of breaths here. Maybe widen your feet so that the legs can feel softened. You get a sense of length in the low back, and then relax the backs of the hands to the floor so the arms are heavy into the mat. And here you're breathing into the spaciousness of the back of the body. So the body is completely soft as it's supported. And you maybe find space between the shoulder blades and across the low back. Relaxing your face and just holding for a few more deep breaths. After your next exhalation, just preparing to move, gliding the arms back to their original sides, bringing yourself gently onto your hands and knees, sliding your knees forward so you can take a child's pose, just turning your head, relaxing the body onto the bolster, relaxing the arms out to the sides. If you're not working with a bolster but a folded blanket, you can just take a normal child's pose if that feels better. Take a few moments here. Maybe a few deep sighs, soft and gentle as you exhale. And then we do the same thing, but with the arms the opposite way. So gently moving back into position. And you might want to have your head slightly lifted as you take the arms the opposite way. Now I can't even remember which way around they were. So I'm thinking it was left on top of right and now it's right on top of left. If you think it's different, that's okay. Do it the way that feels most natural as the opposing way. Allowing the head to be supported by the block in front of you. Holding onto your shoulders all around the outsides of the arms, the upper back, taking a few deeper breaths, maybe separating the feet. When you're ready, letting the backs of the arms or hands come to the mat. Allowing the arms to be really heavy, the whole body softening towards the floor. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable practicing that way. Slow, gentle, deep breaths into the spaciousness of the back of the body. After your next exhalation, just preparing to move, sliding the arms back to where they were. Taking yourself onto your hands and knees, moving the knees a little bit forward to take that child's pose again. Turning the head to one side if it feels comfortable doing that. Letting the bolster support your body. Find a moment of stillness. And then when you're ready, preparing for relaxation. So taking yourself as gently as possible from these poses into relaxation. And here today, if you'd like to do legs up the wall, it's a lovely relaxation to do after so much time spent in downward dog, but you might also like to do just knees supported by bolster, which is what I'm going to go with today. And remember, you can have a little something underneath the back of your head. Today is a day for warm layers. It certainly is at this end, but it was very, very cold the last few days here. So unlike on the west coast of Scotland, where it's been incredibly warm and glorious. So just taking your time to set up for relaxation, whatever way feels good for you, and also noticing if you need to do anything else with your body. So hopefully you're feeling quite released, but if you want to lie down and draw your knees into your chest, if you want to do some rolling around on your back, then that's absolutely fine too. We don't have to immediately find stillness, but we'll work our way in that direction. When you're ready, you can find the position of choice. Feet nice and wide if you're in Shavasana or leg supported Shavasana. And you can do feet wide if you would like to with your legs up the wall, but just making sure the legs feel supported. Maybe a few little wiggles against the floor, trying to find space between the shoulder blades, reaching the arms away from the body with the palms turned upwards. And if you feel like you would be irritated by keeping the hands on the floor in that position, you can bend the arms at the elbows, but keep that sense of space in the upper back. Allowing your head to be nice and heavy against the floor. Maybe rolling the head gently from side to side if it feels good to do that. Looking for the weight of the head to be supported by the floor, but just a gentle movement. Whenever you're ready, finding your way back to center. Taking a deep breath in and sighing gently out. Closing the eyes if you haven't done so already. Let's do 3 more of those. A deep breath in. Let all of your effort go. A deep breath in. Let your muscles begin to relax. Deep breath in. Surrender back and down into your mat. Allow your breath to find its natural rhythm and fall into quietness. Take your awareness into your forehead. Feel it soften. That space between the eyebrows spreading, separating. The area around the eyes relaxing. Your mouth, tongue, jaw releasing. Allow the whole of the body to feel heavy, warm and supported, releasing back and down. Bring your awareness to your breath and notice your natural breath. The gentle ebb and flow of your breath. The sensation of coolness as you breathe in through the nose. And warmth as your breath leaves the body. Perhaps you can feel a natural slowing of your breath. Allowing your face and shoulders and chest to remain relaxed and soft. Notice if your breath has any natural moments of stillness. Perhaps as you finish breathing in, there's a moment of stillness before you breathe out. Perhaps there's a moment of stillness before you breathe in again. Observe your breath noticing these moments of stillness. Begin to rest your awareness more fully into those moments of pause, of stillness in the breath, without trying to hold your breath. Allow yourself to hang in those moments. Allow your face and chest to remain soft and relaxed. Notice the calm, tranquility of the moments of pause in your breath. Notice if in those moments of stillness the mind is also more quiet, less frantic, calm and tranquil. These moments of stillness are filled with a deep sense of peace. Allow yourself to bathe in that peace for the remainder of your relaxation. Gently begin to deepen your breath. And bring your awareness back into your hands and your feet by moving your fingers, your toes, maybe rolling wrists and ankles. When you feel ready, take a deep breath in and stretch the body in any way that feels good. Maybe stretch the sides of the body. Maybe stretch the balcony. When you're ready, you can bend your knees into your chest, make any movements that feel good. Perhaps take the knees one way and the head the other. Just move through the spine from side to side. You might like to roll the knees in circles. And when you're ready in your own time, just finding a moment of stillness. Oh, somebody switched their microphone back on, not to worry. So when you're ready, just coming into any comfortable upright position. And then here in the upright position, allowing the hands to rest over your heart. With your eyes gently closed, just for a moment. Really feeling now the full effect of your practice, including your relaxation. And here, just holding to this week, we're holding ourselves in our hearts and wrapping our love and compassion and patience, and kindness and tolerance around ourselves. Today and this week, we are going to be a good friend to ourselves. So those conversations you have, those internal dialogues, are going to be the ones you would have with a friend, where there is no judgment, only support, and only kindness, and only love. Give yourself a gentle smile. You can bring your chin towards your chest if you'd like to. When you're ready, raising your head and opening your eyes. I hope you have enjoyed this practice. I know that we've worked the body very well, but with our yin poses and relaxation, I hope you feel restored after the practice and ready to face the week ahead. And I look forward to practicing with you again soon. Namaste.